Hello, it is designed and organized. We're talking about the basement from forgotten to fabulous. And of course, the fabulous part is Felicia and what she does. So, again, well, yeah, that's true. I hope you get rid of this stuff. So, again, my name is Janet Taylor. I am an organizer helping you organize your home, your office, and your life. And I am joined with Felicia Wallace Benton. And of course, Felicia will share with you what she does for her clients to transform their spaces.
Hello, everyone. My name is Felicia Wallace Benton. I'm interior designer and owner of Designing Your Vision. I create beautiful interiors for residential and commercial spaces. And what I do is I try to bring, well, I do. I bring your vision to life when it comes to your interior spaces to give you not just what you need, but what you want aesthetically for the space.
And today we are talking about the basement. And before we get into the basement, of course, Felicia and I have talked about the bedroom. We have talked about the kitchen. We have done the bathroom. So make sure you check those videos out as well.
Yeah, they're good.
But the basement, Felicia, I've realized why it is forgotten is because you close the door. Nobody has to really see it except for the family. It becomes the dumping ground and people just put things in there and then all of a sudden they can't move in there. They realize, let me do something to this space. And I always tell people, okay, so now it's time to reclaim the space. So what do you want the space to look like? Because everybody's like, well, I want to get rid of the stuff, which is wonderful, but you have to have some type of vision of what how you want it to function. So that's how I kind of get started with like the decluttering part. Cause like, yeah, we're gonna get rid of some stuff. We're gonna get rid of the box to the table that you put together like 2 years ago. We're gonna get rid of that. You something down there, you had a little bit of water damage. We're sorry about that, but all of that stuff is moldy and let's get rid of all of that stuff. And then let's start going through all the stuff that you don't wear, you don't use, you don't even want. It's taking up valuable space. And last, if somebody has decided because you have this basement that you don't go into and they decided to just leave their stuff down there in the corner, well, now it's time for them to come pick their stuff up as well. So that's how I kind of approach those basement projects.
That is true. The basement and garage are like the worst. But as an interior designer, again, I give you the questionnaire and I try to see how you're going to live. Basically, like Janet said, how you going to utilize the space. That is key. Like you really have to sit down and think, like, what do you want this space to be? I mean, if you have kids, you can use it for your kids. If you love to entertain, you can have a nice entertain space, a beautiful man cave for your husband. And really, depending upon the size of your basement, you can also divide it up so you can use it for different tasks, exercising, a home office, depending upon like if you have a window or something down there, you can even have guest stay. So this is just little tidbits as to what you can do with your basement. And depending upon what you want to spend, then that's what, if you're going to completely remake over or just something very simple, between Jane and I, we can definitely help you to create that beautiful space in your basement. But you do have to take the time, sit
Mhm.
down with your family or with your significant other and see how you want to utilize the space. That is going to save you time and most of all money, because you're going to get the space that you need and you want.
And just to piggyback off, yeah, that's true. And just to piggyback off of Felicia, it is important, like she said, what do you want down there? Do you want a home office? Do you want an exercise space? Some people like just a little space because they have a laundry room. They want that. Sometimes, do you want storage down there because maybe you want to do the holiday deck or the seasonal decorations. Sometimes people want to store maybe some seasonal clothes down there. Like, what do you want? Because once you do that, then it's easy for me to come in and say, okay, this is what you want down here. So now we can kind of go through and sort and decide what you need to keep and also what you need to get rid of. And I love when you said zones because, again, that helps you. I know somebody who transformed their basement into, they had a little space for laundry, then they had a space for some exercise equipment, and then they had, of course, and because their eldest son took it over, it almost looked like it looked like a little mini apartment down there with a mini fridge and everything else. And it had, and some homes are designed, it actually had a separate entrance. So that was it. It was like, oh, this is his little bachelor pad down here. But yeah, but just kind of figuring all that out because it helps with the design and it also helps really figuring out what the family needs. But I love definitely creating those functional zones.
Yeah, and you don't have to have like a huge budget for it. Again, unless you're doing a rehab. Like I had a client whose his father-in-law was aging, so the basement in his home was his man cave, and he needed it to be kind of divided off so his father-in-law can also stay down there without impending upon him going down there to exercise or watch TV or whatever it is. So we basically sectioned off the basement, and since he already had a bathroom down there, the area where the bathroom was, we kind of incorporate that into like a nice little suite for his father-in-law. So that way his father-in-law will feel comfortable staying down there. He got a lot of natural light, which is definitely a plus if you're going to do that. You definitely have to have a window down there. Um, so he had that extra light and he had his own little suite down there, which really made a difference. And it didn't cost him that much unless we just had to refab the bathroom for,
Hmm.
to to support his father-in-law's needs because he was basically aging in place. But that is something you can definitely keep in mind, like you said, like a teen or somebody returning home from college needing a place to stay, want their own space. You wanting your own space. I mean, I've had so many people turn it, believe it or not, instead of making it a man cave, making it a she cave. you know, um,
Hmm.
as they just give their husbands a den and
Hmm.
sometimes a family room, and then
Hmm.
they have their nice little she cave. And some people think of the basement being cold and drab, but there's so many materials out there now that as an interior designer, I can help you incorporate and do like for the walls and things, and they're very easy to help block out sound, to help make the place warm and inviting, that you can do to create that beautiful space. You can just go and retreat with your candles and your book and your tea, and you're good to go. Like whatever you want to do.
And I actually recently saw an unfinished basement of a client, and it's amazing how they actually kind of started creating their own zones. That's because she does a lot of crafting and things. So she's got a space. She's like, this is where I want my stuff to be. That's going to be my husband's space. And then, like you said, there's that plumbing for that extra bathroom. And I think sometimes having somebody come in like you can really like, okay, if this is where the bathroom is going to be, then these are where the other places can really realistically be. And then one of the things, Felicia, was because it was still an unfinished basement, it was all of that space underneath the stairs. And she
Mhm.
actually, because she has a lot of reefs, she actually started just kind of using that space underneath just to hang her reefs. And I was like, oh, that's a good idea. But, having somebody come in like you when it is unfinished, it's like possibilities are endless. It's like, well, wait a minute, we can do this, that, and the other, and then just kind of create that space not only for whatever you need it to function but also for storage as well.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Yeah. That's definitely something that you can do for the most part is when you, and that's why I tell people make a plan. So definitely make a plan, because when you have your plan and it's something that you discuss with the family, it's really easy for Janet or I to come in and definitely help you to achieve your goal for the space.
mhm,
And another thing is, some people, whether it's a big project or not, just put in a budget, especially when it comes to a basement, because like the kitchen, it can get pretty pricey,
mhm,
and it's good to know exactly what you want to spend
yeah.
on the space to get it to look. Because then, if we need to think outside the box to help you meet your budget, we can easily attain that. And it's not to say that we're giving you a cheaper look, but we're giving you more bang for your buck, to say.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
that is important because it's one of the things I tell people, Felicia, is purge before you purchase. Because a lot of times you go in that
Yes.
basement, you see all the stuff. Next thing you know, you at the store and you've got your car full of all these bins that you probably don't need. Because 80% of the stuff we keep, we never reference again. So get rid of stuff. And a lot of times, as you were getting rid of things, you're emptying out bins, so you may already have the bins. And then you could take the money that you actually would have spent on the bins and actually spend it on having, Felicia come in and give you a nice design outlook with storage and everything for what you need. So before you look and open that door, look downstairs and say, okay, I got to get 20 of these, 30. Just pause. Just clear out stuff, get rid of stuff, donate, toss, recycle.
Yeah, I don't
And
think people really realize that. Like, and sometimes when you have a basement or even an attic, like it's sometimes it's just sentimental stuff that you're storing, and it's like, what purpose do you have for this? Like, are you really going to keep it? Like, maybe just one thing from your child's baby, like you don't have to have everything, like just one. And I don't think people understand that that's impending upon their growth of their life and their use of the space. Like, I don't think that they really understand that, but once they do, it's like mind blown, and then they realize that, oh, now I have room to
mhm,
do X, Y, and Z. Like, I don't need a bigger house. I
yeah,
don't need to, you know, try to configure this or spend huge money on adding on an addition, because I do have the room within my house. And I think once people understand that, it makes things a whole lot easier. And then we can come in and assess, like, if you have a completely unfinished basement, different ways that you can finish it off, and you don't have to do everything all at once. So you can do it, bite the elephant one bite at a time, and do it piecemeal, which some people think like, oh no, but what it does is it helps you, because as you do different sections of your basement, you're like, oh, I didn't think about this, what about this? And then we can come in with that different mindset and help you to, so it really helps you to build on your design instead of just going in there gung-ho and trying to do everything at once. So
mhm,
these are just little tidbits for you to keep in mind, to help
mhm.
you to save money and also get the look that you want.
Yeah, yeah, and that's true. And I just wanted to say also, when you're going through that stuff, like Felicia said, do you really use it? Are you entertaining? Are you entertaining like you used to? I mean, yes, maybe, when you were your 20s, your 30s, you were throwing parties all the time. But now when you're older, you're retiring, is that something you really do? Or is it something where you like, you know what, I think it's better just for me just to call a caterer and just have them bring everything? Because you might be at that place in your life, but, just think about all the stuff that we hold on to that is actually probably valuable real estate, because maybe after talking to Felicia, you realize you need something a little bit bigger than you had envisioned. So just maybe your storage space will be adequate, but then you'll have more space for living space. And think about that as well. So, those are just some of the things that you can actually think about as you are moving forward with your design and organized project. It was something else that I really wanted to say because you had triggered a thought. But you know what, Felicia? I have forgotten what it was I wanted to say. So maybe it'll come back to me and maybe it won't. But
Yeah.
also, with all of that, do you need to do seasonal check-ins? Because I think what happens is you put stuff in that basement, close that door, and it's not until next holiday, next event, you go down there. Maybe you need to have like a quarterly check-in. As the seasons change, just go down there and see what's really going on in that basement. So
Yeah, I don't
those are
think
some.
people realize what is how important it is to purge or to be organized in the basement, because, like, say for example, if you do have a flood or a pipe burst or whatever, most of the time I hear like we had an incident and now they have to buy materials to not just fix it up, but they're throwing away stuff that they really wanted to keep in some cases, and in some cases they're like, I we didn't realize we had all this stuff down here to get rid of. So it just makes the task a little bit harder. So I try to tell people, like when you take down your tree, whatever decorations you're going to use that year or you haven't used in the last 2, that's when you throw them out. The same thing happens with, clothes. Like if you haven't worn anything, and instead of storing it down in your basement for next season, just toss it as you do your transition, and give it away to Goodwill. It just makes your life a lot easier, and then you can store those places like in a closet, or that's where we can come in to create that closet. It's very easy to store things in so they don't get wet. And then we can give you tidbits like maybe we don't put them on the floor, we put them high
Yeah.
up if they
Mhm.
don't, if you don't want them on the floor. They're not up under a pipe that could burst, to get them wet. So it's just little things like that that I don't think people, when you're doing a basement, you're just thinking of the end result instead of what you can do to get up to that result, and
Mhm.
then
Mhm.
aftermath. So that's where we come in to help you think about the overall process. And I know it's kind of like, "Ugh, really? Do I?"
Mhm. That's true. That is so true.
But it is something that you should keep in mind and you should do, because it's time and money.
And that is true. That is true. And I realized what that thought came back to me. So thank you, Felicia.
Oh, you're welcome.
So the thought was that, we were talking about just having all this stuff, and then we think sometimes that we need a bigger space. And a lot of times I tell people sometimes it's really making sure the space that you have, you're maximizing it, getting rid of all of the clutter, because then that could save you money, because people are like, oh my goodness, I feel like the walls are coming in. You move into a bigger space, and what happens? The
More
same
stuff.
thing
Yeah.
happens again. You feel like, oh gosh, there's space here. So let me fill it up. And sometimes that's not necessarily the solution. Sometimes it is, because your family gets bigger, dynamics change. But a lot of times it is really figuring out how to maximize your space. And that's why Felicia and I wanted to do this series, is because it's design and organize and how it works together, because it
Right.
truly, truly does. Because you have things, I've realized I've got paintings my mother did. They were in storage. Well, they're not in storage. They were just kind of in a box. I'm like, I need to just get some frames and put them on the wall. And sometimes it's simple things like that. So but thank you, Felicia. I was like, my thought just left me, but now it came back. I'm so
That's how it
excited.
happens.
I know that's how it happens. So my question is, does this support the fabulous space I'm creating, or does it belong somewhere else? And sometimes we just got to ask ourselves that. Does it support? Yes, that was great in the college years, but now that I'm called Grandpa Pa, maybe it's time to kind of create a space for that. Because maybe, yes, you wanted that man cave, but now the grandkids love coming over, so now you need a space where you can hang out with them. So I just wanted to leave you with that question just to ponder in regards to design and organize.
That's a good one.
So, of course, once again, Felicia and I, of course, we always enjoy talking to each other, but we also enjoy just kind of sharing with you little tidbits to think about, so that you can really make the investments you need to have the space that you want for you as well as your family. So, thank you again for joining us. Make sure you click the links, follow Felicia on YouTube, follow her on social media, and of course, you can do the same for me. So, again, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.